I need to do a rant because this needs to be known. I am going to go to the Better Business Bureau, but since my brother worked for Dish, he got the Dish, the satellite package, one of the biggest packages, for only for less than $14 a month. And where he lives, the management is made up of a bunch of old ladies who have nothing better to do with their lives, and they don't like him. I've seen them harass him, and they took over the management of the place and said he wasn't allowed to have a satellite dish. So he gifted it to me, and I was paying the bill. And they closed down Dish back, or they told them that they were going to close down Dish the first week of June, and everybody was flipping out. They said they were going to walk out, and so they were threatened that they weren't going to get any of their benefits if they walk out, which I don't think they can do that. And then they told everyone that if they stayed, that they would get one of the things that they would do for them was allow them to keep the discount until August. So supposedly, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks before they were going to close down, they sent out this email telling everyone that if they don't stay till the last day, they're not getting that discount. My brother says he didn't get it. I'm sorry, it's like something is like in my eye and I can't get it. My brother says he didn't get it, but even so, you're gonna just change this at like almost at the last minute. So I mean, my brother's got kids to support, he's got a family, and so he finally got called into work the week before they closed down. So I mean, he stood there almost until the end. And so while I'm in the hospital, I get this text that the bill, because I paid that bill, I got this text that they were charging me full price, $122. And I was like, and so I called them up. Now this is so when I got out of the hospital, so it was like the second week of May before the new bill, went into effect. And because I think it goes into effect on the 17th, I think. So I called them the week before, and they said no problem. The customer service rep said no problem. She spoke to the supervisor, said no problem. That bill's gonna go down, so don't worry about it. So I go ahead and I paid, the $14 for the month of, May 17th to June 17th. So she said about a week later you'll see your bill go down. I was like, okay. I go look. A week later, it's still not down. So the lady said, well, your brother's office supervisor said no, that he's not going to do it. So my brother said that they had a personality conflict. He was fired, and the next month he was back. So he had it in for my brother. So my brother's like, why don't and I've learned this before. Sometimes when you get a difficult rep, you just call back and usually, someone else will be nicer. So I called back and I said, okay, so what's the story with this if this was promised to everyone? Am I getting it or not? So that this way, I wouldn't, because I think the new week had just started or something. And she said, yes, you're not the only employee that's having this issue. We're working on fixing this issue. Give it a couple more days. Checking in next week, you'll see it goes down. So by this time, it's a week in to me having the new month, and it's still not going down. So when I called back, they said, well, since your brother was the employee, call this number, it's employee assistance, and have them help you. But he says that it wasn't working. I don't know if he dialed it wrong or what. But he called and spoke to somebody at customer service, not the office, and they basically said he called customer service and they said you need to talk to your office manager. And since he knows, what happened, he knows that he can't talk to him. He's like, well, forget this. This is wrong. So I called back, like a week later, and said, look, since when does a company act unprofessional like that? So you have a conflict at the workplace. So basically, they said, you want my brother to call him to what? To grovel? I was like, look, you promised this to your employees. You can't go changing at the last minute, putting stipulations. I was told twice that this was going to get resolved, and now, you're still trying to charge me full price. So, they put me through to the office president, which I guess she's just the supervisor. And so she said that, that's that. We're not getting it. So, my brother spoke to the office president, and they started saying unprofessional things. Well, why your sister has to call here 3 times? Because every time they told me to wait a week, so I called. This is going into the 3rd time I'm calling. I call like once a week. Your sister ruined it for you. What does that have to do with anything? That was like so unprofessional. And so my brother's saying, you better resolve this. Or we're going to the Better Business Bureau. And I told them the same thing. I'm going to the Better Business Bureau. So we were supposed to do it over the phone, but some rearrangement, and he got his kids that week. So he kept telling me, like, turn it off. I'm like, no, let's fight. So I thought we were going to go to the Better Business Bureau that morning. So by this time, it had been about 17 days. And he said he couldn't because he had his girls. This bill is just going to get bigger and bigger. He was telling me to turn it off. I called Friday. This was a Friday morning, so we're going into like day 17. I called that Friday because we were supposed to get together on Thursday, and he couldn't because he had his girls. So I figured we're going to have to wait for a day that we could do this together. And so, he told me, I said, fine, I'll just do what he said, turn it off. I was upset because I paid for the month, but the employee discount. So I was like, it's not worth it. So I called to turn it off Friday morning. And they put me through to the loyalty people. And the loyalty people said, please don't turn it off. What can I do to keep you? I said, well, I would keep it if you put me on the lowest plan. And they quoted me HBO for $10, and then they were telling me, no, it's going to be $20. This is customer service. They just kept like changing things around. And so I said to her, if you can give me the lowest package, which is, I think it's just the local channels, and give me HBO for $10 so I can watch my Game of Thrones. I said, and you remove all the charges, and then deduct the $14 I already paid from the bill, you've got me. So she said, no problem. We will remove all the charges. They had generated a new bill already, like 2 weeks before the cutoff date, and they were trying to charge full price for that too. So now instead of being $120, $122, it was like $230 or something, because they added late fees now and stuff like that. So I was like, you generate the bill that quickly? But either way, I said, if you can remove all the charges and just charge me for your smallest package and deduct the $14 I already paid, then I will stay with you. So she said, and there was no contract because, we had already had the dish for 2.5 years. So I was like, it was no contract. So she says, I'll give you this special price of HBO for $10 until December. So I was like, okay, fine. So I wasn't even, I wasn't going to renew because of the way that they were acting, but, I wasn't going to keep fighting and wait until August. But I was like, fine, I'll keep the lowest package, and, I'll get my HBO, I can see my Game of Thrones. And she said it was until December, so I said, great. And so she said all I would owe was like something like $25 because I already paid the $14. So I was like, okay, good, because I think it's like $30 she was charging me for the month, or it was $40. And so I was like, okay, great. But I said, I'm not going to be a fool like last time and pay up ahead, and then this bill has not been lowered. So she says, yeah, give it, until, again, give it a couple of days, check again next week. So I checked again next week, and the bill was not lowered. My package was lowered. You know, when I tried to watch cable, I lost all those extra channels, and that's fine because I only really wanted HBO. But they were still saying that I owed well, not, it wasn't 121 because I already paid 14, so it was like whatever, 107 for the month. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so they put me through again to the office president, which is really just the supervisor. And she says, you know, someone already spoke to your brother, and they sent him an email showing proof that these emails were sent out in April. And, you know, my brother told them, and I told them, so you just, you know, change things as you go. So basically you just lied to all your employees just to get them not to walk out on you, you know, back in whatever it was, February, March, just to keep them there until the last day. And, you know, they were saying that there's nothing they can do and blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, you know what? Cut me off now. This way is not going to be no $100 and some. The bill would be cut in half. And don't you even think about charging me for the last 5 days. Because I tried to turn this off on Friday. And I don't know what she said. Well, it's only $5. The small package is like $1 a day. I was like, whatever. So she's like, fine, well, I'm going to send you a kit. And it'll be $10 for cutting it off. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And she's like, yes, yeah, so I'm going to send you a kit, and you have to return it within 30 days, and or else you're going to get charged another $50 for the equipment. And would you like to square away your bill today? I was like, you're not getting a penny. You're not getting an extra penny from me. And so, and I said, and you have got the audacity to tack on another $10? She says, well, it costs a lot of money to ship these boxes and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't care.
Sorry.
I said, the way you guys have handled this so unprofessionally, I was like, yeah, no. I said, I'm not giving you a penny. Just give me this, send me this box so I could send you back the cable, you know, the receiver it's called. And she's like, okay. A week later, I still have not received that box. And they're saying if you don't do it within 30 days, you're going to get charged, whatever. And then me and my brother got together and tried to go on the BBB website, and I don't know what I was doing something wrong, and I wasn't able to do it. So, you know, I just got the number. I said, well, I'll call, you know, later on. But since my daughter was here, I didn't get a chance to do that yet. So it's like I said, it's been a week. I still haven't received that box, and then I get a letter of them asking me, how can they keep me? Please come back to us. We'll do almost anything. And I was like, so I called them up and I said, first of all, I'm calling because I still haven't received this box. And they said, oh, you know, it's scheduled to arrive today. This was yesterday. It's scheduled to arrive today. I was like, okay. And what's with this letter? I said, you said you want me back. And I said, I'm going to tell you what I told Loyalty. Oh, and while they had sent me back to Loyalty. For them, they said, well, maybe because the customer service, before I actually got to an office president, customer service sent me back to Loyalty, and the guy's whistling as I'm talking to him. And you know, and what's difficult is a lot of times they hire people from other countries. Like, you're really not talking to someone in the United States, you're talking to another country. That makes things 10 times more difficult because they're not allowed to make phone calls because it's, you know, from country to country. And there's a communication barrier there. And so the guy's whistling as I'm talking to him and asking him if he can fix this. I was like, are you serious? These people, I've never, ever dealt with such unprofessionalism in my life. And all he said is, I'm sorry that, you know, she took off, you know, the following month's charges, and she took off the late fees, but we cannot take off that that extra $100 that they were charging you, and that's when they sent me back to the office president. So, you know, I'm talking to this guy now, and, you know, I told him that what happened. And he's then, you know, and now he's saying, oh, well, I don't know how they told you they want to take those charges off. They can't do that. I said, oh, so again, what you're saying is that your company lies to their customers. And the thing is, and a lot of times they just repeat over and over again, this is how it works. I said, I already know, oh no, this is how it's supposed to work. And I was like, I already know how it's supposed to work, but you guys are not listening to me. I understand what your policies are, but what I'm telling you is what was promised and not delivered. And so I said, why did you send me this letter? And oh my goodness, he was like, well, there's nothing we can do about, because I cut it off in the middle of the month instead of 100, now it's 50. And then she finally took off the $10 extra charge for whatever, the shipping that is going to cost. But he's like, there's no way that they can take that off. And that letter they sent me was ridiculous. He says, did you read the fine print? I said, well, not really, because it was torn off, but I'm not interested in the fine print. I'm interested in why I got this letter. Basically, it's like you get a certain amount of channels and you have to have a 2-year contract, and they'll give you HBO for free for 3 months if you get a larger package. Like all of these stipulations on, can we win you back? We'll do almost everything. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? I said, look, I'm not asking to come back. I just want to know why I got this letter. But that's really ridiculous what you're asking for people to come back to. I just want to know when I'm going to get this box, because supposedly I have 30 days to ship the receiver back. And then that's when he told me he's supposed to get it by the end of day today. I'm like, okay, I'll go to the office later on, or I'll call the office later on at 5 to see if they got that. But it was just their conduct is they make you promises, they tell you they're going to fix it, they don't fix it. Meanwhile, you're accumulating charges. And for an office manager to act so unprofessional like that, because he, oh, well, I don't like you, so I'm not going to, give you the agreement that I told everybody I was going to give. It's like, so, and the fact that he was let go, and they bring him back a month later. That is absolutely insane. And it wasn't even my brother who called him out. My brother was just talking about it with someone, and someone overheard my brother, and that girl was furious, and she reported the manager. But they called my brother in and say, oh, what was it that this girl overheard you, because she's accusing him. And he's like, I don't want to get in trouble. And they swore up and down that it's confidential, but no, a month later the guy comes back and he's got it in from my brother. And so that's unprofessionalism, that's immaturity. It shows bad conduct on the part of the company, and the fact that you're not gonna keep your agreement, the fact that they tried to change everything put stipulations at the last minute, the fact that they threaten that people can't get their benefits, which is insane, because I don't think you can do that. Tell them they can't get their 401k and they can't get. I don't think that's even legal. To tell my brother, your sister called here too much, so she ruined everything for you. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? And these are the office president. What kind of company is like that? And I went on their Facebook and I complained and said, the service sucks. It's horrible. When you're recording something, it cuts off the first minute. Sometimes it cuts off the last minute. And you're like, oh my goodness, what happened right there at the end? It is horrible for those reasons. And so I said, things were promised. Promises were broken. They promised you the world. Meanwhile, they're not, doing what they promised. They're accumulating charges, and the service sucks. And so, obviously, someone's like, I don't know if they deleted it, because I couldn't find it, but yet somebody from Facebook Dish said, oh, why don't you speak to call customer service? I said, I've called customer service, all was said and done, or rather I should say not done. I said, I've spoken to loyalty, I've spoken to customer service, I've spoken to, office presidents, and this has not been resolved. I said, so my only recourse is going to the Better Business Bureau. So, since me and my brother had a hard time, I told my brother to tell me give me all the details, and I wrote it all down, and then I'll just go to the Better Business Bureau. So, again, my daughter was here, so I didn't have a chance to do that. I just wanted to enjoy her. So, we're gonna see what happens with that. I just have to call them and find out, what's wrong. I wasn't able to do it. Some things were saying that it couldn't go through for whatever reason. So I just found out today, though, how to do it, and also found out not only do you dispute a company, but then you also have another section where you put a complaint against them, so that when people go to Better Business Bureau, they see what a horrible company they are. Now, Facebook, all the way down the line. So I'm not sure if I can't find my comment, but there's a lot of other comments there. How they told, promised one thing again, didn't deliver. How the service is horrible. How one person, told them they wanted to ship the box back. They never received. They want to ship the receiver. They never received the box that they're supposed to put the receiver in. And, like they were telling them, can you please track it? Oh, we don't know how to track it. Again, a lie, because my brother just got an email saying we can track the box for you. So, they just down the line have horrible, reviews on Facebook Dish. And when I went to the Better Business Bureau, they've got 130 complaints against them and bad reviews. So they're just horrible, Dish. The service is horrible. Me and my family, we didn't have cable for like 15 years. So, I was looking into maybe getting like small packages from other companies, but those are more expensive. But the service that you would get with them, I would think is worth it. But me and my family decided we're just going to go without cable again. We were without it for 15 years. So, just the rant against Dish. They're unprofessional. They're immature. They string you along so that they can keep charging you. It's just a terrible company. So that was what I was dealing with. The week that my daughter was supposed to come, while I'm trying to get my house ready, get everything nice and clean, how to get her I had to get her air mattress. I have an air mattress. I had to, getting all the sheets for her. I was also, getting stuff for her, shampoo, all that stuff. So I was just trying to make sure I was ready for her while I'm, dealing with Dish. And then unfortunately, then, it was just one of those weeks where everything just seemed to be going wrong.